All right, today's today's lesson is 4.3, writing equations in point slope form. If you can recall, in chapter 3, we've learned about standard form. The start of chapter 4, we've learned about slope-intercept form, and today we are going to learn about point slope form. We are going to start right away with a 5-minute check, or just lesson 4.2. You're going to do a little checkpoint. This is a multiple choice question on the Google form. So given 2 points, which A, B, C, or D represents the equation y equals mx plus b, the slope-intercept equation that goes through 6 and -3 and 12, -3. Save your answer to later record in the Google form. All right, previous objective was to write linear equations given either 1 point in the slope or 2 points. That was from 4.2. Today's objective is to write equations of lines in point slope form, and then write linear equations in different forms, such as standard form or slope-intercept form. The only vocabulary word that you have to know, or vocabulary term, is point slope form. So make sure you get this written down. Y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1. That's the equation for point slope form. Little key concept to start out, the linear equation y minus y1 equals m times x minus x1 is written in point slope form, where x1 and y1 is a given point and a non-vertical line, and m is the slope of the line. The reason why it's a given point and a non-vertical line, because a vertical line, as we know, is an undefined slope. So that's why it's a non-vertical line. So let's get started. Example number 1 is to write and graph an equation in point slope form. All right, so they give us a value that it passes through a coordinate with a slope of -3/2, and then we have to graph it. So I know my equation, point slope form, is y minus y1 equals my slope of m and my x minus x1. So right now, I am going to plug in what I know. I know that my x1 is -2. I know my y1 is 6. And I know that my slope is -3/2. So I'm going to plug it into the equation, and it's y minus 6 equals my slope of -3/2 times x minus a -2, which becomes x plus 2. And that is your equation in point slope form. Now I changed this equation, so this graph is actually wrong, but in how to graph it, we're going to plot the point -2, 6, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, which would be down here. And then we always need 2 points in order to graph a line. So they give us 1 point, but we also know our slope is -3/2. So I'm going to go up 1, 2, 3, and over 1, 2. So I apologize that this line didn't go away, but let's practice with another one. Write an equation in point slope form for the line that passes through -2, 1 with a slope of -6. So I know that my point slope equation is y minus y1 equals my slope times x minus x1. I'm always going to identify my points. I know that my x1 is -2 and my y1 is 1, and my slope is -6. So my equation is y minus 1 equals my slope of -6 times x minus a -2 again, which becomes a big +2. So this is my point slope equation. Then if I have to graph it, I'm going to start by graphing the point that they give me. So -2 up 1. Now again, in order to graph a line, we always need at least 2 points. Well, I know that my slope is -6. So I'm going to go down 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and over 1. because our slope is negative 6 over 1. All right, so we always need those 2 points in order to graph our line. All right, let's move on. All right, this is a checkpoint. If you want to check yourself, write the equation, write the point slope form of the equation for a line that passes through 4, -3 with a slope of -2. So you can pause the video and we'll come back together to see if you get the same answer as I did. All right, y minus y1 equals my slope of m times x minus x1. I know that my x1 value is 4 and my y1 value is -3 and my slope is -2. So my equation is y minus a -3, which becomes +3, equals my slope of -2 times x minus my x1 value, which is 4. So here's my point slope equation. That's kind of part 1. And then in order to graph point slope equations, what we do is we start with this point, 4, -3. I'm going to go over 1, 2, 3, 4, and down 3. Make a big dot. That's your starting point. And then the only thing that we have to go from there is our slope. So I'm going to go up 2 over 1. You can continue your graph because the slope will never change. I can go up 2 over 1. Up 2 over 1. I could go down 2 over 1 and then connect with a line. So hopefully you got the same answer as I did. All right, concept summary for writing equations given the slope in 1 point and then given 2 points. Given 1 point, we substituted the value of m and x and y, and then we solved for b. Given 2 points, you first find the slope, choose one of the 2 points to use, and then follow the steps for writing the equation given the slope in 1 point. This is kind of a refresher from slope-intercept form as well as standard form. This is example number 2, writing equation in standard form. Well, standard form is ax plus by equals c. So if I have the equation right now in point slope form, I have y plus 7 equals -5 times x plus 3. The first thing I'm going to do is the distributive property. Get rid of the parentheses. So I have y plus 7 equals -5x minus 15. And I need x, then y equals a number. So the first thing I'm going to do is subtract the 7 from both sides. I get y equals -5x minus 22. And then I need to move my x over to the left side, so I'm going to add 5x to both sides. And my grand equation is x, then y equals the number. A equals 5, B equals 1, and C equals -22. This is my standard equation, ax plus by equals c, point slope form to standard form. So again, let's try another one. We have y plus 2 equals 7 over 8 times x minus 3. Now, given your slope is a fraction, the first thing we're going to do is get rid of this denominator. And if I get rid of the denominator, I'm going to multiply both sides by 8. And that gets rid of the denominator of 8 on the right side. So I multiplied this side by 8 to get rid of my denominator. I'm going to multiply this side by 8. Now I'm going to do distributive property. I get 8y plus 16 equals 7x minus 21. I'm going to move my number over, so I'm going to subtract 16 from both sides. I get 8y equals 7x. What do we get? Minus 37. And then I need to move my x over, so I'm going to subtract a 7x from both sides. I get negative 7x plus 8y equals negative 37. Well, if you remember from standard form, our a value cannot be negative. That's part of the equation. It's not negative ax plus by equals c. It's a positive. So I need to flip the value of the sign on every part of my equation to keep it the same. So instead of negative 7x plus 8y equals negative 37, my answer is 7x minus 8y equals a positive 37. It doesn't change the value of the line, it just changes it so my x value is not negative. All right, so one more you are going to do on your own. It's not a fraction for our slope, but what I want you to do is take this point slope form and turn it into standard form. This is the open-ended Google question on the Google form. Example number 3 is write an equation in slope-intercept form. Well, slope-intercept form is y equals mx plus b. Right now we have standard form. So 3x plus 2y equals 6. And I need to put this into y equals mx plus b. So the first thing I'm going to do is subtract 3x from both sides. I'm left with 2y on this side equals negative 3x plus 6, mx plus b, or y equals mx plus b. And then my last step is to divide everything by 2 to get rid of my 2y. My answer is y equals, remember that we don't mess with the slope if we leave it as a fraction, negative 3 over 2x, and then 6 divided by 2 is 3. So this is taking standard form of 3x plus 2y equals 6 and converting it to slope-intercept form, y equals negative 3 over 2x plus 3. We're going to try another one. This is point-slope form to slope-intercept form. So I have y minus 10 equals 4. I'm going to do the distributive property right away. 4x plus 24. All right, so I'm going to add 10 to both sides. This one was an easy one. Y equals 4x plus 34. All right, so the nice thing is that there's no graphing for 4.3. It's a lot of just writing equations from one form to another, slope-intercept form to standard form to point-slope form, and so forth. We will go through a bunch of examples together in class, and if you have any questions, you can make sure to write them down and we will answer them in class next week. All right, have a good weekend.